future. Now, many of you know that my interest in my professional life has been in the family itself. Less the individuals, not at the exclusion, but really the family itself. The reason that I became interested in that question is that when I was 4 years old, my mother and father were having a conversation in which my mother was agitated. I hadn't seen her in that condition before. And the agitation was over money, and the agitation was over her circumstances, that her father had gone bankrupt one day in the Depression when she'd come home from school and found a for sale sign on the front lawn. And so she announced to my father, I don't think either of them knew that I was listening, that she was a product of Shirtsleeves to Shirtsleeves in 3 generations. Somehow for me, that conversation woke up in me something I think I brought into this lifetime to work on. Many years later in Singapore, in a very odd circumstance, a Chinese gentleman asked me the question, how could his family avoid that outcome? And I suddenly realized that I was in the midst of a question that is a forever question. It won't surprise any of you in this room that that proverb is as old as writing. I'm sure human beings prehistorically, before writing, experienced that proverb. And I don't think then it will surprise any of you, but you may not have thought about it for a while, that our work as advisors is grounded in failure. Because the shirt-sleeve to shirt-sleeve proverb, as you all know, is in every culture on earth. It's in every spiritual tradition. And what is it? It is energy that becomes matter, and then eventually, as is required in our universe with the law of entropy, that matter will go back to energy. What the proverb is expressing is simply a fundamental law of our universe. So the problem for us professionally, although we don't think about it too often, is that failure must be normative. That is, that the proverb must come true in its orderly way. And so the first thing I wanted to say in my brief remarks is I salute each of you, because when you get up in the morning and you go to your office, and when you come home at night, truly you are dealing with failure. We'd all love to be hubristic and believe that we will solve all problems. That's part of professionals' view of ourselves. But in this field, you become humble in a hurry. Because you're dealing with a fundamental human condition that is, as I said, no more than the expression of the law of entropy. So one of the things that we've learned together is something very important, I think. It's a distillation, but it might be useful to you and the families that you serve. And that is this: if one begins this work saying, the shirt-sleeve to shirt-sleeve proverb will come true, the great clause comes next. However, every family has free will as to when. Isn't that interesting? We know the proverb will come true. We know some of the aspects of how families avoid it. The core question, however, is what is the intention of a family? Because it is its free will that determines when. Isn't that interesting? And I think our role is to seek to provide help, gentle help with fidelity, great fidelity, toward families discovering that will and then on their own extending, if that's what they wish to do, so they are determining when. This is the core of our work.